So, where were you when you found Christ?
Oof, that's a really good question. Honestly, I would say that I was at my bottom, like at my lowest, the lowest I'd ever been, just like mentally, physically, spiritually.
Right.
And I feel like it's for the longest I was carrying a burden, multiple burdens, like emotionally, just father wounds that I had been carrying for years, things that I've been praying and asking God to let go, but to take over, but I was struggling to let those things go. I was like fighting him almost. And it got to a point where I was just extremely overwhelmed with everything, and I just felt like, man, I can't do this anymore. Like I genuinely need God. And yeah, he found me at my lowest, like literally in my dorm room crying my eyes out like, God,
Wow.
I need you right now.
Wow.
And he showed up. He literally showed up.
That's awesome. So how'd you find out about Christ?
Always grew up in the church, but
Same.
definitely lukewarm for the longest. And it got to a point, like I said, where I was just kind of going through it, and I was like, I'm done pretending. I want the real thing.
Yeah.
And so I met him at my lowest in my dorm room, and he showed up as Elroy, the God who sees. And when I felt insignificant, when I felt like I had no shoulder to cry on, I knew that I could get on my knees and pray, and God took over. And he, I felt like for the longest I was so scared to really submit, because I was living a sinful life, and I didn't think I was worthy to be forgiven. And he showed up and he showed me what forgiveness looks like, and I think that was very important, so that I could be able to forgive people that had hurt me or whatever, and just be able to show them the love that God showed me when he showed up for me. And so
yeah, that's amazing. So where are you currently?
I would say I've definitely learned, as I've become more intimate with my relationship with Christ and taking it more seriously, that it's not a sprint. It's more so just, it's just a walk. I'm taking it day by day, and I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I fall short of his glory. But, I definitely would say I'm in a better place spiritually. I understand what it means to be in partnership with Christ. Like, before I was trying to have authority over my life and would only surrender in certain aspects. And now I've really understood what it means to surrender in every aspect. Like, I'm talking like my education, the last semester I just finished, man, God really showed up.
I could relate with that. I could relate with that.
Like learning to really submit in every aspect, and the transformation occurred when you really trust, and also practicing obedience. That's a big thing. I feel like obedience proves our trust in God. And so, I'm trusting him and trusting the path that he's got for me, and the will that he has for me. May look different than what I thought it was supposed to be, but we're here. We're going through with it.
Yep. I want to say one good thing that I've heard too. It's true. I'm pretty sure it's in the scripture somewhere as well. It's delayed obedience is still disobedience.
Yep.
So
and that disobedience be costly, bro. Like, whew.
I can relate with
costly.
that.
Yeah. And also so just learning like what sacrifice means. Like following Christ, it comes with a sacrifice. And for the longest I was like giving. I was like, God, I stopped partying, I stopped drinking, I stopped doing this, but it's like, no, he wanted me. He wanted my life. And the ultimate sacrifice is literally you. Literally. And so each day I just pray and I ask God, I'm like, Lord, like, may I present myself to you at your feet, and I pray that I may be a living sacrifice that's holy and acceptable to you. So that's where I would say I'm at right now.
So good. So I guess my next question is, I really want to know, where do you feel like the Lord is guiding you right now?
I would say right now, obedience is a really big thing. I've known for, a while, for a long time, that I've always had a calling on my life. And for the longest, I try to run away from it, because I'm like, I want to live life. I want to see what the world has to offer. I don't want to be, all holy and stuff like that. But, once I really started building an intimate relationship with him, he revealed some things to me while I was in my secret place. And like I said, like when he showed up for me, he just healed me. I'm like, I gotta testify. I gotta tell somebody about this, because I know there's people out there that may be going through similar things, or people that haven't gone through these things, but my testimony could help them. So with that being said, I feel like, he's leading me to be a vessel, to really share my testimony and pour life into others. Proverbs 10 verse 11 talks about how the words of the godly are a life-giving fountain. And, I feel like he's using me to pour, he's pouring into me, and my words will pour into other people, and it's all for his glory. So with that being said, Be Still podcast coming soon. It's dropping real soon. So being obedient.
So good. giving God the glory that He deserves.
All for His glory.
Through your testimony as well, because you never know what your testimony can do for somebody else.
That's so true.
You know, because somebody can be going through something, they may think they're alone, but then once you just let the Lord speak through you and just speak through your testimony, you know, like you never know what that does for somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, with all of that being said, for me personally, my favorite verse right now, at least in this season, is Luke 21:32. Simon, Simon, behold, Satan has demanded to hold you, to have you, that he might sift you like wheat. And I have prayed for you that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned, turn again to strengthen your brothers. That's my day-to-day, in at least in this season for sure. So what would you say is the word for you? I guess more scripture-wise, like what would you say is the verse that keeps you going day in, day out?
I would say Psalms 37 verse 7. It says, be still in the presence of the Lord, wait patiently for Him to act. And there's like, a little bit extra at the end of the verse, but the main part that really, keeps me going is that beginning part. And that's actually where the title of the podcast came from. It was when I was in my secret place where this verse was revealed to me, and it is in God's presence where healing transpired, where breakthrough happened, where I experienced His love. That's where I got to know Him as Abba, when I was in His presence. And so, like I said, for the longest I was carrying on weights, burdens that God didn't invite me to carry. But as I was in His presence, I really learned what it meant to submit. As it says in Matthew 11 verse 28, like, come to me, all who are weary and carry heavy burdens. It's in His presence where I laid those burdens at His feet and experienced rest for my spirit and my soul. And so I'll say that's the verse that keeps me going. Yeah, that's definitely the one right there.
That's good. And Be Still podcast
coming soon.
City near you. Cut. Out of here. That's a wrap. Let the Lord lead.